Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review, we are looking at the McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse Batman, part of the Last Night on Earth batch of figures. This is Batman in what looks like, sort of like a straitjacket, but it's very form-fitting and has cape straps, or belt strap cape thing, and belt Batman ear. I don't know what's going on here. I know someone out there, one of you guys out there watching this, is really into this whole storyline and feels like telling me about it. If you would be so inclined, put it in the comment section below. I'd love to hear more about it, just like the Quick Notes version. Quick Notes, Spark Notes, whatever it's called. Okay, so there's a lot of stuff going on with this figure, despite its relatively simple design, so let's go ahead and get it off the stand and take a closer look. And this guy stands to the top of his head just about 7 inches, which makes him pretty close to, let's say, 18 centimeters, give or take. And my first thought about this guy is we need to do a question of the day. How do you guys feel about figures like this? Are you guys wanting these things, or is it really only the die-hard fans that are really into this storyline that want the figures, or are all of you guys out there just happy to have a variety of Batman figures? I'm as big a Batman fan as anybody who isn't like oddly into Batman, and maybe shy of Robin, but these don't do a thing for me, things like this. Some of the cooler designs, sure, but to me, I don't care for this at all. Just my personal preferences. You guys can let me know how you feel. That being said, it might still be a good figure, so let's get into it. Proportionally speaking, they did a pretty good job. I don't think there's too many problems there. The arms are the right length, the legs are the right girthiness, broad shoulders. All in all, pretty good look, I think. I like it. I like the sculpt work on it. It is textured throughout. I don't know if you can see that yet. Let's get in tight. Lots of texturing, lots of wrinkles, it all looks good. The belts and pouches and things are sculpted well. Now the paint job on this figure though is abysmal. This strap is painted, the W is painted, this strap is painted. Okay, those are all fine, but like the buckles, they just have silver dry brush in the middle? I've never seen that before. Unless like the whole thing was going to be dry brushed, like if it was a black leather jacket and they dry brushed it with gray, then you might see that kind of thing and just left alone, that's fine. But this is targeted. There's silver dry brush on the belts in between the buckles and on the arm fins. That's terrible. They didn't paint any of the details on any of the other buckles except for that one in the center, because I guess they figured they couldn't get away with not painting that. But it's really not good looking. And then there's no paint on the upper body at all as far as like the jacket or whatever you want to call it. But his pants are dry brushed in silver. Also, so we have dry brushing here in silver, dry brushing here in silver. Why are his beige pants dry brushed in silver? It's very strange. They didn't paint the buckles on these things. They didn't paint the buckle up here on his ears. It's very lazy. It looks cheap as hell, despite the really nice sculpt work. It's strange. At least do like a brown dry brush or a gray dry brush, but silver doesn't look good. And then we have the colored pins again, not painted to match. I understand it, but still doesn't look good. I can get away with the elbow not being painted, but even then, like, painting things that need to be painted has been a staple of the action figure industry for a long time. Mostly, things like throwing some brown paint on there to make it not look bad. This is basically just molded plastic all put together. It looks like an unfinished figure. Very strange the way they went about it. So aesthetically speaking, this gets a 5 out of 10. It looks like a prototype with just enough paint to make it look like Batman, like they painted the mouth, the eyes, and just the bare minimum of details. Very strange. As far as accessories go, we get his billy club or nightstick, or I guess it's neither of those things. It's just a little baton, I guess. And it does have 2 gripping hands, no trigger fingers. That's a start. That's something. No fist hands, of course, though, either, so whatever. But we do get the stick. We get the Joker in the lantern type thing. I mean, I guess this is just like an old-timey vessel of some sort that's made for heads. I don't know. It's well enough done. I don't understand what's going on in this storyline at all. Whatever. It's included. It's well enough done. We do have the black display stand, and we have the collector card. So that's good enough. Still no fist hands for Batman. I think we should have some fist hands, but at least he's got a couple other things. 6 out of 10. It's not the worst spread that we've ever seen. You do get a little spot on the belt to hold his little club though too, so that's kind of cool. Alright, as far as articulation goes, let's get in a little bit tighter. The head moves around pretty well inside the collar, but it is going to be inside the collar and limited by that. So don't expect a whole lot to go on there, but it should be good enough. For the shoulder, it does wiggle around in there. If that's helpful, barely. Like if you want to raise the arm, it looks slightly more natural to have that, so that's cool, but Does it help all that much? I don't know. Doesn't really get in the way though, so that's just their budget that they're wasting. Otherwise, the shoulder works nicely, no problems there. Bicep swivel is fine. Double jointed elbow is one of the ugliest elbows. I don't know, it's like they're getting uglier and uglier. The more joints this company makes, the uglier they get. I don't know. It functions, I'll definitely give them that. But it's just so strange the way these things are being designed. It's like I can see the ideas behind them. They look very nice when they're flush. Kinda. This one's not quite right. But as soon as you articulate them, it doesn't look good. So it's almost like they're telling us, don't use the articulation, we're spending all of our time and money engineering. It's very weird because they are clearly spending time and money to do it. Ball hinge wrist does work nicely, that's fine. The torso on this guy, I wish I could pull that apart even more to show you. There's a big ball peg in there, and then there's a hinge, and then another ball peg or another hinge. It's hard to say, but he does have a hinge for going forward and back, but it does do that when you use it. So you can see it's also falling apart. It's coming. That gap in between those two pieces shouldn't be there. I don't think. It looks like it shouldn't. Yeah, it shouldn't. So it's definitely falling apart. But you get a big ball peg here, a big ball peg here, and a big hinge in the middle. So they took a note from Revoltech, which does allow him to ab crunch. And it allows you to separate the body completely. So you can just not do that, but then you get no range, basically. So that's very weird. Especially since it's all hollow anyway. They could have just gone up higher with this soft piece of plastic. So that's a little bit weird. But you do get to pose them around more than most of the McFarlane figures. But it's going to get very gappy, and that is a very weird design. So we do have this floating skirt piece down here. How does that allow... Oh, wait. Yeah, you can rotate. How does that work for the hips? Well, they go pretty far out to the side. That's okay. Going forward, very, very limited. Going back, better, because his butt cheek thing is split more. So his cheeks are split, and you can bring the legs back. Thigh swivel, did I show you that? Doesn't work. Double jointed knee. This bottom one is really loose and really ugly. And the top one is not loose, but also very ugly. The joints on these figures are so strange. It's really, really interesting to me. So weird. And this top one, if you go all the way up with it, it looks good. But as soon as you bring it down, it looks super duper strange. I don't understand why we have this big cutout in it when you can just make this round and make this flush. So you don't need... See the curved part right here? That curved part can just go up all the way. A softer curve all the way up. And then when you bring it down, there's no edge on either part. I keep getting my hand in front of the camera, I'm sorry about that. If you just have the curve soft and it goes all the way up to this point here, you don't have this hard edge here, and you don't have a hard edge right here. It would work, but they don't do it that way. Like, we've seen that on tons of action figures before, and they just don't do it, so it's very strange. Anyway, no ankle joint here because you just have a ball hinge down here, which does work. It's very loose, and it's not big enough. It looks kind of goofy, and it does work going back. Going forwards, okay, you're back to getting 3 notches of positioning again, so it's going to be very limiting. You get a super duper ankle rocker out of it, and that's good, but the hinge itself is not big enough, so it doesn't work well. Toe joint is okay. It's one of the better toe joints they've done, but it's just a toe joint. So it's not terrible. It does some things pretty well as far as articulation goes, and some things not so well, but it's not bad, I wouldn't say. It's just weird. Very weird, and not aesthetically pleasing in the articulation department, but it's relatively functional. So I'll give the articulation a 7 out of 10 for this guy. It's just weird. I don't know how else to describe it. It's so strange from an engineering perspective. Again, the aesthetic would have been the saving grace for this figure because it's really well sculpted, but they just totally pooed the bed with the paint on this one. Articulation's slightly better, accessories are slightly better, so it's going to average out to a generous, because to me the aesthetic is so bad. I'm being super generous in saying it gets a final verdict of 7 out of 10. Let me know what you guys think about it. I don't understand the silver dry brushing on the pants and the lack of any dry brushing on the shirt and the buckles not being painted. It's just so weird. It's so weird. Okay, that's it, guys. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please do give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. And if you haven't subscribed, you might want to. I have new videos almost every single day and thousands already on the channel. So come back for all of that good stuff. And in the meantime, keep collecting.